Hey there, Keith here again from Target Property Spain, and welcome to today's video, which is part of our Deep Dive series, where we take a plunge into one of the subjects associated with buying a property here on the Costa del Sol. Today I'm joined by John Hollway from Moneycorp. We're going to have a look at foreign exchange, but don't worry, we're not going to bore you with charts and interest rates. We're simply going to explain how you can save up to 4% on your property purchase. So to put that into perspective, if you're buying a property for €500,000, we can save you around €20,000. Welcome, John.
Well, thank you very much for having me. Good to see you.
So maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about you. How long have you been here on the Costa del Sol?
I've actually been on the Costa del Sol for 32 years now. I came here in '89. Worked for about a year and a bit, and then came back in '94 thinking I was going to be here for 3 years. Okay. And I'm still here.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because our paths have kind of crossed.
We have.
When I first came here, I was working in your industry. I was in foreign exchange, and you were in real estate.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, like ships in the night, our paths kind of crossed,
exactly.
and here we are with you, the foreign exchange expert, and me looking at property.
I don't know about expert, but the foreign exchange person. I've been doing it for about 8 years now with Moneycorp. I've always liked them because they were a very serious company. Yeah. They've always been a serious company all the time I've been on the coast. So, it's been good. It's been very good.
So maybe you can start by telling us a little bit about what sort of savings people can expect to enjoy.
Yeah, we look at between, you said 4%, that's a fantastic thing. We would normally say 2 to 3% on a purchase or a sale. Why would you use a foreign exchange company instead of a bank, for instance? Very simply, we're going to save you money against the bank. And also you have a bit more control over your money. So what happens is you would have an account with us, which is completely free. Yep. You would have a currency broker assigned to you. They would then start to talk to you. And you as the real estate person would say, I need the money by X date. Well, maybe the currency exchange is not so good at that time, but we can talk to the buyer and say, okay, what do you need to do? I said, well, I need to send €200,000 to Spain, and we give them the best time. The best rate, and they're going to save money, basically. And when they send it, if they send it in the morning, it's usually there by the afternoon.
Right, so same-day delivery.
Same-day delivery.
Because it's interesting, isn't it? Because often my clients will look at the rate that's advertised in the newspapers or online, but that's not actually the rate that you get from the banks, is it?
The rate that you see online is what we would call the interbank rate. The interbank rate is the rate that all of us, the foreign exchange, the banks, we all buy the currency at. But obviously we have to make some money, and we make our money on the margin. So there's a slight bit that we put on, and we sell it. So my analogy to the whole thing, to foreign exchange, is that, if money is, or currency is vegetables, so tomatoes, we're supermarkets. So we go out and buy sterling. And at that time, sterling is at £1. We as Aldi, the Aldi of foreign exchange, will sell it at 1.1. The banks, who are the Harrods or whatever, will sell it at 1.4.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
And we do huge amounts of volume. So just last year, we traded 73 billion sterling.
Okay.
So we're a big company.
Good way of explaining it. So I guess if that's you and that's the banks, and you're both buying, for example, euros there, the banks will sell to the client there, and you will sell to the client there. So you're making a smaller margin.
Exactly. Volume.
But you're doing volume.
Volume.
And of course, that's all you do.
That's all we do.
Whereas the banks will do mortgages, and bonds, and insurance policies, and
the whole point of us is that we're basically, the currency that we're buying for you. We're not buying it on speculation. So you say, I want 200,000, we go out in the market, we buy 200,000. That's it.
But you're getting rates that a normal Joe public wouldn't have access to.
Exactly.
Great, okay. So I guess the immediate question that probably enters most of our clients' minds are, they're familiar with the banks, they're familiar with the brand, they feel safe with the banks. How safe is it working with Moneycorp?
It's safe because we are licensed. We are completely licensed. We are beholden to the Bank of Spain, the Bank of Ireland, etc., etc., etc. And that's what we do. Our reputation is such that we can't afford, the fines are so huge, we cannot afford to step out of that. So that's what I would always say, to look at, if you're looking at foreign exchange companies, what are their size? Have they got all the licenses in place? Are they able to do it? And also, you want someone with a lot of liquidity. We have a lot of liquidity.
And in terms of the client's funds, so once a client wants to trade with you, say he's selling sterling, buying euros, for example, he'll send his sterling to you.
Yep.
And where does that go?
It goes in a segregated client account, which sits there, which is protected. It can only be used for buying currency on behalf of the client. It is not, we can't use it for buying options or shares, or we just don't, that's it, it sits there.
So it's a ring-fenced client
Ring-fenced.
account.
We don't get earn interest, the client doesn't earn interest. We would obviously like the client to trade, because that's the only time we make money.
Yep.
But people hold it there for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months.
Okay. And you mentioned it's free of charge to the client to use your service.
What's the nicest thing about working with us is it's a win-win. You know, we're offering, it's a free service.
Unless you're the banks, of course, then you're losing.
Well, the banks, they have their own things to do, you know. So yeah, it's completely free. You don't have to use us. You can sign up. You get the benefit of the broker to talk to you.
Yep.
If you decide not to use us, that's obviously we want you to use us, but you don't have to.
It's a really nice tool for us as well as an agent, because we know that if we need the funds arriving by a certain date and they're using you guys, and you guys are aware of what date those funds need to arrive by, they arrive on that date. Yeah. And there's nothing worse as an agent on sitting there and waiting for the banks, because banks say 3 to 5 working days.
Yeah, they can do. They can do.
What's also beneficial for us as an agent, I find, is not so much with resale properties, but particularly when we're selling new builds.
Yeah.
Because the completion on a new build can be anywhere up to 2 years, sometimes even more. And obviously the rate can change drastically in that time frame.
In that case, what we can offer is they can lock the rate. To lock the rate, which is like a forward, to lock the rate, they need to give us 10%. So let's say they're spending 200,000, we need 20,000. And that locks that rate for the next 2 years.
So regardless of what happens to the rate, they know what it's going to cost them in sterling.
So then the argument will always be, the client goes, yes, but what happens if the rate goes in my favour? Again, we wipe that out and we start again. It's simple as that.
Okay. Yeah. And it's interesting that, isn't it? Because the rate can change so quickly in the blink of an eye.
It can.
That if you've got an amount you need to pay 2 years down the line and the rate drops against you, suddenly your deal's in jeopardy.
Exactly. And a lot of people like the fact that they know what they've committed, they're excited, they know how much they're going to spend. That's it, done in their heads.
Yeah, agreed.
Because and we found that a lot with Scandinavian clients now. The Swedish krona suddenly went bizarre and they were locking in quite a lot. So that worked quite well.
Okay. So you help buyers buy properties. I mean, I'm a client of yours myself, as you know. I use you for my living funds, and I mean, I have a UK property which I rent out, and you guys help me bring over the rental income to Spain every month. What about if you're selling a property? Can you help people that are relocating back to UK?
Yep, we obviously it's 50% or more than of our business. And again, there are various things that happen in Spain, which I'm sure you explain to your clients, is that one of the best things we do, or one of the things we do well, is a lot of people, when they sell their property, they get a banker's draft.
Yep.
I know in the UK they're going, what? And that's basically a check in the seller's name.
Yeah.
So they have to decide, what do we do with this? So they can obviously put it in their Spanish bank. Absolutely no problem at all. If they do that, the Spanish bank will charge them to clear it.
As high as 0.6% sometimes.
Yeah, but we always say 0.3.
Yeah.
A percentage to transfer it, so usually 1%.
Yeah.
And the exchange rate is something that it's up to the bank.
So before you're even looking at the exchange rate, you could be talking at nearly 1% to
absolutely.
bank the cheque and send the funds out.
Yeah.
And with 6 figures,
no,
it's a lot
huge.
of money. Yeah.
It's huge. So we will clear the cheque for free, transfer it for free, and give you a commercial rate of exchange. You're definitely going to save yourself 2-3%. Plus, you have a lot more control over your money. So the physicality of what happens is that we will attend the notary on the client's behalf. We will pick up the cheque. We will bank it on their behalf. It takes 3 days to clear. They can trade from the moment I pick it up, and they can trade that, and they have more control of the money. So they'll get it.
It's interesting when you say trade, because, you know, for some of our clients who maybe aren't that financially astute.
Sorry.
You know, it can seem a bit daunting maybe,
but no, it does.
At the end of the day, you're showing them more money arriving in their bank account than they would expect from the banks.
Yeah, and I think more importantly, a lot of people like the fact that they can talk to us about what's happening. Where is it? What's happening? Whereas if they'd put it into their bank in Spain, has it cleared yet? Will they get an answer? Do they have to make an appointment to go and see someone? So there's all that works very well.
And I'm constantly surprised by how few people don't know that this exists as an alternative option to the banks.
I think it's like anything. I think it's becoming, certainly we're seeing a lot more competition from the buying side because of the big companies who are now, you know, the Wise, the Revoluts, etc. in this world that they're doing. And we think they're fantastic company. Absolutely no problem at all. My issue would always be with someone like the Wise and the Revolut. They're very online. They don't have that hand holding.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's important because when I worked in the industry, there was like the big three, you know, who were working outside of the banking industry, helping clients move their money around. They were the big three companies. And you're right, nowadays there's a wealth of companies and they're all very good. But when clients say to me, who should I use? I always say, look, pick a company that has a base here in Spain as well.
Yeah.
So they understand the intricacies of property purchases and sales. They understand how the banking system works here, and they have people on the ground that you can go in and meet and shake their hand and share a cup of coffee with and let them explain to you exactly how it's going to work for them.
We try and meet as many people as we can. If the client, we're delighted to meet either in our office or wherever they want to be, because it helps. It's, you know, I think of it as if my mum was here selling a property, who do I want them to go and see and look after them? And that's how I think about it, because it's their money, whether it's 1,000 or it's 670,000, whatever it is, it's important and they need to feel safe.
It's a bit like us, really. It's important. We want people to feel comfortable in what they're doing, and I know that Moneycorp have got the same kind of ethos.
You don't want to push someone into a villa or a house that they don't want it, you know, in the end. Whereas we're the same. We'd rather just be happy they can come back to us. We're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Okay, fabulous. Well, John, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Lovely to see you.
Good to see you.
So that's how Moneycorp can save you up to 4%. Sort of, John says 3%, but sometimes up to 4% on your currency transfers. Stay tuned for the next video.